Okay. Something's happening.
I'm here with Manu from the duo Eva and Manu. And I've had the privilege and joy to hear the new material you've been recording. And it's interesting to me for two reasons. Of course, because you've used my microphones, the NU-100Ks, but also because it's something you did more or less on your own, producing and engineering, not only recording but also mixing. So, and you did it in very, very tight conditions, very, very small setup. Basically. So you had, except for mics, you had like just a.
I mean, it's a small room.
Yeah.
It was a very small room. It's maybe 4 meters by 3 or 3.5. It's very tiny. And there is the centerpiece was the upright piano. So we bought like a Hellas Finnish made upright piano. Very, very simple, very cheap. Just good action, nothing crazy. And that was on the back of the room. Then we did I did some small acoustic treatment, but only flutter stuff, like just a roof, like a ceiling, with just to make the room a little bit more pleasant to step in and to talk and overall.
Did you do this for the recording or for rehearsal?
For the recording.
Okay.
Yeah.
Specifically, yeah.
Yeah, because we had the room without anything, and it was tiring to work in it because you just heard like a lot of like bouncing back, and after a while just talking and throwing ideas was just like. And I love when you step into a room and you get this this hug, kind of like when you walk on snow, this really nice like soft. So it didn't take much panels, like I think they were like maybe 8 small panels, but
flying them.
Yeah, so they're like they're like the in the US they have this Cornwell like 703, but it's basically it's rock wool. It's actually quite soft. And I think it's about 100 millimeter depth.
Yeah.
And it's 60 by maybe 120. Okay. Something like this. And then they're hanging with chains, and they're spaced about another 10 centimeters from the wall. And there may be so there's a big one in the back on top of the piano. There's a double one on top of the listening position. And then on each side there's one, and then another one a bit behind, and then some on the corner. That's about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's interesting because what I heard was a really pleasing record to my ears. I mean, as far as not only the musical part of the musical talent, but also which I'm familiar with, but also the kind of the textures and the tones you brought up. And you speak about warmth and everybody loves warmth, but there's like different kinds of. So I really like the sonics of it, I guess you could say. And of course, I'd like to think that something has to do with the mics, but I know that you did a lot of other things. So
yeah, well, it starts with a good room. I mean, it doesn't have to be like a smartly treated room, because in our case, we heard cars and trucks passing by and people, nailing and doing. There's a guy behind in the other room who built an electric train. So whenever he was making it turn, he went like, for like. So we had to stop recording and wait for him to be done with it. And so you leave with you always have like boundaries or like limitations, but still like.
But that's real life. That's real life.
Yeah, and it's like it's like a house, like a bedroom. It feels comfortable, like the sound. So I think the studio can't be dead, or it can't be empty or echoish. It's got to be something in between, similar to like a living space. So the idea of the acoustic treatment was mostly just to make it a little bit more like, I could live here, I could stay here 8 hours.
Wow, yeah. Okay.
So that was the first thing. But then, I have other microphones. I have your Black Pearl, and then I have like a few classics, SM7, SM57. But once we got the NU, that's all I used on the record. I think once I used a 57 on overdubbing some guitars, just because I did it after the mixing process, and I was like, I want that one guitar that is a little bit, thin and on the right, so I just use that. But otherwise, everything else is recorded with the mic.
And I'm almost not believing you. I mean, honestly, because I heard a lot of textures, and I heard a lot of different textures which create the depth. But that's part of your work, I guess. And you worked with the basic sound of the mic, and then you did tweak it in different ways. So it would be interesting to hear what you did actually, where we can go through. We can talk about specific instruments, like what you did with vocals typically, and what we did with the piano.
Yeah.
Also, you had some interesting ideas how to record the piano in different waves and get the fingers, the sound of the fingers, like a percussive instrument.
I think of course, the first we were like, I like simplicity. I mean, it's much nicer to work with only one mic, because then it's always plugged in. And, you just move it around. So that was also like, it's a small space. So it's like, if every time we have to remove a mic, place it, listen to it again, it's a waste of time. Yeah. To me, and then you have to reset the EQ, reset the mic if you're doing something like that. But so we had a pair, and both mics were always on stands. And so we had them on the piano. We had different ways. I mean, I think I have some pictures, so we could include some. Yeah. Basically, I took everything from the upright that was facing the listener, so the front panel and the bottom panel, so we could actually have access to strings.
You removed those?
Yeah, I removed it. Yeah. And it was also to get as close to the strings as possible, with the mics. So first we mic'd from the top, so they're on top of the key bed, but facing the strings, and that was it worked most of the time. But sometimes we also had them facing more like 45 degrees, so where the key bed and the strings meet, and to get a bit more of the nails, because Eva played the piano, so she has more nails than I have, and so you get this. Yeah. There's some songs that have very strict, like 16th, like so you get that all the way through, and then you don't need to add anything else.
Can you actually play a part of that?
Yeah. Okay.
Because that wouldn't even come to my mind to record the nails, but when you're saying it and when you hear it, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think it came more the part was done this way, and then we placed it, and then we thought it's super cool. We get the percussion, we get the piano, and so then we worked from that. Since the piano in most of the time was the centerpiece, it was more now we have good piano, we have a good percussive, and then I think the only things that tracked on this was baritone guitars and low stuff to help. Yeah. And then what we can see. But there is there's piano, another piano.
So lots of, not so many instruments, not so many elements, but lots of details still.
Yeah, lots, and piano's doing very different things. Well, I can play some stuff, but so the main piano does this. Yeah.
You know what?
And so it's not necessarily the nail, but it's also the combination of the hammer and the release, and then the squeezing. It's all those tiny texture that also makes the stereo image more clear. Yeah. Because piano is quite, even though we track piano stereo, mono works as well, but also hearing those noise made the piano even more spacious in a way, because you can, if you have headphones, or you can really picture the where like the pedal came in, so that helped also giving like a lot of space to the piano, I think.
But that was so clean playing. I actually thought when I heard that the first time, I thought that was a like a piano emulation run by a MIDI pattern, because that's what it sounds like. It's so precise.
Yeah.
So I thought it was, and I was like, oh, they didn't use the real piano.
No,
so it's actually a surprise to me that it is the piano.
It is, and it's actually on the mixing. There's on the EQ there's a low cut at 50 hertz, 24 dB. Yeah. And that's it. No, sorry, there's Sooth doing a little bit of just like
bringing
making
out
it
texture
soft.
or
I don't know.
Softening or
I don't know really
whatever.
what it's just.
Something.
I got Sooth.
Yeah.
The guys were super nice, and I used it, and then I thought it's genius. Like I was able to push the volume of the piano louder in the mix without compressing it necessarily, and just making the noises and the stuff not really get pierced. I mean, the difference is like this is without and with it.
No, it gives it a nice round.
Yeah, it's just
rounding,
and also a lot of in the low end, like. But yeah, but there's nothing. There's no compression on the piano, nothing, and I think it's just the mics with the UAD 1073 flat, and that's it.
Wow.
So lots of low end in that piano, and so then we did more like interesting things, like running pianos through like reverb to get this.
In the same song? Yeah.
You're
still in the same track.
So it's like this.
Wow. Only the returns?
Yeah. So it's almost like a
keyboard, like a
synthesizer. Or like a lap steel or like a pedal steel, with like but it's a different take. So we on purposely played it with the delay, or like with the reverb effects.
Yeah.
And then there's a piano bass, which is very compressed.
That's like Beatles style piano compression.
And mono, just one.
Very nice.
Center. And then some more like. So now these are the 5 piano tracks together. It's a little bit messy, but and the extra piano that comes, they're very like they're on purposely out of time to bring more like effect. But I mean, 5 piano tracks, all pretty much flat. No problem. You can still hear that it still blends together. That was really nice.
Okay.
So stacking, pianos on top of each other with the mic was very easy. No massive EQing, no like placing it. More using panning, mostly.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I noticed early in the R&D of the mic was I still remember we had an early prototype in the wrong body and everything, not the final one, and. We tried using it for tracking a song, and tried using it on everything. It was like an experiment. I mean, on purpose. I mean, not recommended. But then we kind of realized that it sounds pretty good on this one. It sounds pretty good on this one, and we kept going. So we did we did drums, we did trumpets and everything. I mean, anything in between. And they all had this very usable musical character, and I thought that this is a great starting point. This is great to work from, and I'm not really sure why it is like that, but it's like you get good tracks with it, and I think that's a fantastic, in all its simplicity, a fantastic quality of a mic.
Yeah, no,
it just makes good tracks.
Yeah,
and then if you can go from there, and you can even, if it can take the processing, if it can take the whatever treatment without getting ugly or sounding harsh or anything, then it's an extra dimension.
Yeah.
If you're stuck with like a small space, a few mics, and you cannot, So that's but like the combination of processing and creative work, creative recording work, and a basic good, like a good foundation for the sound. That's really intriguing to me.
Yeah, for what I liked also much is how much it captured. Like, you know, that song is a good example, but there's baritone guitars, for example, which can be a bit difficult to track. Sometimes they're from the amp, which is like the amp has like a 10-inch speaker, so it's not super big, but this is how it sounds like. Like very, very warm and you know, lots of low end without being like hyped or anything, which like for some reason, you know, like I remember when I sent a few tracks to my dad for the first time and he's listened to everything I've done. He was like, wow, the way the guitars and the piano play with each other is something that he had never heard from our previous records. And maybe it has to do a lot with us maybe paying more attention to how to place, like, you know, like if the piano is playing percussive, I managed to do guitars that is playing on another register. Of course, there's a lot of that so that we don't play on top of each other. But they really worked together in a sense that sometimes it was hard to picture that they were separate instruments. They blended like, I mean, if I had the piano to it just quickly, it's like you hear it, but it's like the frequencies that you hear from the baritone they just like they don't add, for some reason they don't add up with what the piano had either. It's kind of like they blend or they fuse. I don't know.
But it's also very deliberate playing.
Yeah, definitely. It has a lot to do with the production decisions. But then again, you know, a lot of people use specific mics also to achieve those production decisions. You're like, the reason why people love to use the SM57, it's because it sits in a certain spot in the mix that people are used to, you know, to have with the like electric guitar to record. But
so I was going to say that sounded like a dynamic or a ribbon.
Yeah,
it has some and I'm not completely surprised. I mean, I think it's okay to be very frank here, but it was something I found also because we did electric guitar in this session, this test experimental session. We did electric guitar. I was like, oh, I don't need to grab my ribbons necessarily. I can get the same, like you said, warmth and smooth, but
really clear, like spark still.
Yeah,
this is a basement, so it's like it's a nice amp, and it can be quite bright. But I could really get that. Like the pick going down the strings, you know. Yeah, that's and then I think there's some acoustic guitars on this song as well. I'm not sure how these were well played on purposely, not so there's quite a few takes.
That's an island string.
Yeah, and a banjo actually in it. There's probably 5 guitars in this take. But these were heavily EQ'd. Like, this is more flat, and then there is this like heavy filtering from both sides just to have it a bit more like lo-fi,
almost like a SM57.
Yeah, but this is what you can do with the, like, you can go, you know, like this, or like with the mic. It's really no problem.
Almost lo-fi style.
So full spectrum. So that's also like, you know, in a sense you can get the mic sound or the effect you want just with a little bit more like EQing.
Yeah.
And I still think it's easier to do that decision, you know, later on than switch the mic, plug it in, check the levels, listen to it, you know.
Yeah.
That's why also in that sense, to me, it was nice to just move the mic around, track a lot of stuff, put it together, and then group it, and then apply that, you know, EQ effect that I wanted in the first place. Be like, that really works. efficiency was also like one of the things that was really nice with the
I mean, and this, even if you had a clear idea, you had like a vision, artistic vision, but you didn't have to, pick the right mic for that. You don't have to worry about that in the early stage. It can be kind of shaped.
Yeah.
Because we did. I mean, with some of the tracks, we did some test shaping with you. Against some classic mics, so that kind of
we did
proved the concept.
That
it can be done.
And it didn't take long to match them. I mean, it was just if you know what you're looking for, if you have the reference.
Yes,
which is what you said. If you know what you're gonna track, if you have the clear vision of what you want the source to sound like, the way you hear it, I mean, it shouldn't be hard to EQ something, unless it's already somehow pre-EQ'd or pre-way, and then it's difficult to work with. But if it's a good starting point, it's just you hear it, you're like, okay, I want a boost in 1K, whatever, and do it, and then perfect.
So for me, it was a balance in the decisions, because I wanted a good starting point for processing, but I also wanted like an attractive starting point. I mean, we talked about it, some of the early versions where I think you told me straight up, it too not very bright. And maybe so when you step up to it, it's like, okay, this is maybe a little bit too mellow. I mean, even if you know that you can equalize it and get it brighter, still ended up with a kind of a starting point that's slightly more skewed against the, which would be the right way to show it, the brighter spectrum, because that's natural to us. I mean, that's the way we want to hear it. That's the way we want to hear a mic. So the starting point is not flat, or it's not a white sheet of paper. It's still colored, but it's carefully and very gently colored, I would maybe say.
And it is important. I mean, I think still like people tend to use their most expensive microphones on vocals. I mean, you see mics on everything, but then if someone decides to buy a U47 or something, it's not to track drums,
No.
So if you put it on drums, it doesn't matter if it's bright or whatever. I mean, but if you put it on vocals, of course you want the person who sings or speech or whatever to get this nice feeling that it's already like not pre-cued, but it's already like doing something more than how you hear your voice back to your ears, kind of like this whole like So that was also that. I think that's what I mentioned, that it's like it's nice also to get the first feeling when you sing and you go like, this is nice starting point, I like it. But
because it keeps you inspired. Keeps you on recording. I mean, not hating what you hear. So what about vocals? Since you mentioned it, you've got two specific lead vocals because both of you do lead vocals. So that's kind of very important to get both of you working. But you did both vocals with the same mic. And you just EQ'd them
very differently. I mean, that was on Eva, the vocal. I mean, the mic didn't need much. Like it was, for some reason, it's. I mean, she has quite a big range. She can be quite chesty and stuff. In our music, she mostly steps in the higher register. Because then we're like, when we sing together, it's like it's a good blend. We're not fighting, and we pay extra attention to this, that we don't sing the same register or the same notes. So for some, for her, every time it was just into the preamp. Same thing, 1073 U80. I mean, we used the Portico, which was also really nice, but and often go through different compressors maybe to give it like that EQ, but no specific like no 10K boost. I mean, like now on the mixing, of course I don't remember how I tracked it, but on the mixing there is, on Eva's vocal, there is an 1176, and then it's followed by a tube take. All of this is the U80, and then by there's a little Neve EQ actually on this one, doing
this track.
On this track, but doing maybe a little cut at 330 hertz.
Okay.
And then another multi-band compressor. Actually, now we hear it without nothing, but so it's also a good reference. This was more like in the mix maybe to get it to sit better, but
You could play a little sample of that.
Yeah. Just have to like.
And this is flat. This is
flat. No.
Okay.
We've seen many faces. Who am I to you? How far did we take this? Nothing left to pursue.
So that's actually quite low in her register. No, it's not like her. I think this part might be higher.
Who am I to you? Who am I to you now? Who am I to you? Who am I to you now?
But still a lot of low mids, it's quite warm. It's not like, but the so I think and then with the compression it helped tighten in the low mid stuff. But listening to this, you wouldn't go like, oh, we need air. It's.
I see. But did you use some of the compression or the EQ while tracking?
Yeah.
For hearing it like it.
Yeah. I think I saved the vocal chain. So the vocal chain for recording, it's called the NU-100K vocal.
So you had like a template for
a template that we always had as our starting point. So it's 1073 with a low cut at 80 and a tiny cut at 220. That's
again,
for like I have no idea what the dB is because it doesn't show, but it's not much. And then a tube tech compressor at 4:1 ratio, and I don't think it's doing anything. Everything is at 0 on the fixed setting, so it's mostly just
to have it
color,
there and listen
maybe
if you need it.
Yeah, and then into LA2 leveling amp, also not doing much. So I think it's and on that song, it was on purpose heavily compressed because we wanted to get that, super close with the piano because it's very like. So we probably boosted a bit, but I think that was that on everything for Eva's vocals. Yeah.
So how about when you used if you used more air, if you added like the 10K and beyond, how about de-essing? There must be some point where you hit it with a lot of treble and then you need to.
There's quite there. It's always been a struggle with de-essing, mostly also because we're not native English speaking, so we tend to like have a bit more S's than a native American would have, which is okay. It's but so it's always been a bit of a struggle. But this time it wasn't as strong, and I mostly used multi-band compression. Like
to achieve that.
Yeah, the Wave C6 was like always, I think Eva's frequency is quite low, or it was like 4.5, and then maybe another one at 7 something. But but not so similar as a de-esser, but doing it with multi-band, and then Sooth was also like another help, but it never got to a point where it became annoying. I did some volume automation also if there was a lot of like breathing stuff like that, but those are like mixing techniques you would do with just to give it. But no, otherwise I don't know. It never became overly S present, or I don't know how you say.
Yeah, but because that's one of the things I tried to work on to. Yeah. That you've seen the frequency response, so it's actually going upwards after 10K. It's pushing the air even further. So there's a danger of getting too much, but then there's a little notch before that.
Yeah,
in the response. And I also deliberately in the capsule design I tried to minimize the typical S, almost like ringing, or kind of emphasis of S,
Yeah.
which tends to sound good. It brings clarity to the mic if you listen to it dry or as it is. But once you start adding equalization and lots of compression, it kind of becomes very, very, pushes it to the surface, and then it's too much, and then you have to slam a lot of de-esser on it to make it, to tame it back. So that's an interesting area to discuss, frequency area.
Yeah, and people have very different SS points. I think
it
rings differently in the bone structure and whatever, because
and the language.
In the language, Eva's S is much lower than mine.
Funny.
I think there must be some mixing where I have a proper DSO and we can check the SS. But yeah.
So what about your vocal and the treatment of that? You said it's
my vocal. I used more EQ. I think maybe because I sang a lot of this quite close to the mic, so maybe the proximity effect made me a little bit more chesty, and it's maybe because of the style, but I didn't want to sound like really big. So I don't know. On this track, it doesn't have any EQing. I mean, it has a low cut at 70, compressor. Oh no, there is an EQ. So my bad. The NIF 1081. Yeah, there's quite a lot of.
I would expect you to try to shape it a little bit towards the 47s type of, with the 4K or 5K something.
Yeah, there is a boost at 3.3 actually.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit, and then there's a air boost at 15K.
Okay, even more at 15. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's a small cut at 220, and that's it.
Again, the 220, yeah.
Yeah, the 220 is it might be in my head, I have to say, because the room that I worked with was I had 110 was a big boost.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like on the tracking, it is there, but I think it is there because regardless of if it's present or not, it's more like I'll remove a little bit.
But isn't it? I mean, if the dimensions make a boost at 220, then they would 110, then there would be another one at 220.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, but it's a frequency I really really dislike. I mean, I love like 500. I tend to boost 500 in the master, but to be able to boost it like with the wide Q or whatever, so it's not a notch. I like to take around between 200 and 300. Just to and mostly I take it away first from vocals because often I'm not necessarily needed there, and then I think it's taken from a lot of guitars and reverbs, and it might even be taken out from the mastering as well, like EQing. There is a at 160 there's a dip in the mastering.
Oh, you got the master. Oh, your
I use this mag audio. So there's a little air boost at 40K and then a cut at 160, and nothing crazy. But the vocals were for some. The mic really picked up different. It did sound like different mics in a sense. Well, not different mics, but It was perfectly bright on Eva, for example, and on me I was like, I could use a bit more, and then I used it, and it was fine.
And it didn't get harsh.
No, never.
Because speaking about things in your head, I mean, in my head, I think the aluminum membrane does sound different than the typical plastic one. But again, it could be in my head. But I think it might be revealed when you do heavy boosting of stuff. Like the top range, that it has a certain silkiness that you might not get with the typical. Maybe.
Yeah, it must. I mean, because I was able to get those mixes pretty sharp, I think, or like pretty, pretty airy.
Yeah.
And often I think I boosted the top end on almost everything. I mean, so it's not like you wouldn't be able to do it if it was like screaming. I mean, I think every track has like a boost. Plus, like I just said earlier, I use saturation, and saturation also tends to like give some nice harmonics in the top register also.
Absolutely.
But I didn't feel like it was getting harsh. And I mean, you know.
One of the things we struggle with or discussed is with the early versions. I think was when you put it on acoustic guitar was a bit of the boominess that the low end was too big. So I guess I mean, not if disregarding the 220 thing but it felt okay now for the vocal or
for the vocal it was fine
because it's nice to keep so it's there, you can always high pass a little bit.
For the boominess I realized now that I have a really boomy guitar, the Martin D28, and it's just I love that guitar, but it's so hard to record for me. And then I bought a new Londola, really old Londola, dead sounding guitar.
Yeah.
And I was able to mic it wherever, and it was no problem. It could be in front of the sound hole. It could be so. I think a lot of the boominess that I didn't enjoy from recording acoustic guitar was mainly due to my acoustic guitar. Because now when I recorded the D28, I recorded it with really facing like the 12th fret.
Yeah,
and quite far away, and it was
a meter
perfectly
or
fine. About a meter. Yeah, perfectly fine, no problem anymore. Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's a really loud boomy guitar. But not for vocals. It was it wasn't like boomy in any way. I mean, it's and like you said, it's nice. It's an important like frequency if you're doing talking or anything. If you remove that 220, it's a bit.
Or for the piano, you said that, making it sound almost like a grand piano, even if it's an upright. Yeah. Because that's really that was your concept, and I remember Eva was here many years ago when you did that track, and she said that she likes the upright, and I was like, I didn't get why do you like the upright when you can have a grand piano? But I get it now because I hear what she's doing with it. So
and you can get very personal because you also it's blowing at you. It's like if you play guitar with the amp facing your face,
Yeah.
You instantly adjust to the way it plays back, and with the grand piano, it's maybe a little bit. Maybe more difficult to get this instant feedback. With the upright, it's facing you, and you play. This was a bit too aggressive. Okay, and there's a nice like relationship you have, and it took many takes to get the right, volume on the playing.
Right.
Sometime, and we tried like many different, with pedal, without pedal, different playing, different like space. I mean, it took a while to get the right tone for each song. So it's not easier, but I don't know. It's I think of it as if I would play acoustic guitar facing the acoustic guitar, which would be nice.
Yeah.
To play it and actually hear what it sounds in front of it, and not on top of it.
Yeah, it's true, because it's designed to project to the audience. Like
exactly.
The lid of the grand piano is to get the sound to the audience.
Right.
It's kind of the wrong way for you.
Yeah. And the upright, I guess, a lot of people also tend to record the back as well. We didn't this time, but that would have been also quite nice to get like a mono mic on the back or something. Add that extra.
There was one thing regarding the low end. One more time, it was when you sent me those drum. Actually, I think you just sent me the drum overheads to listen to. Mm-hmm. And with that kick drum, being fat in the overhead, like what? But it was a special kick drum for you. It was your personal drum.
It was actually yes.
But that's
I was thinking like wait, but it was. I bought this old kick drum. It's a small one, 20-inch, from 50s I think, and I never sold it. I thought like I'll always need it because it is the best.
Yeah.
Big sounding kick. It is. Yeah.
But that's one of the things I like about using an overhead pair, which has a nice support, because you can get really nice toms, and you can even get. I mean, the snare is fat in the overhead, so you don't feel as tempted to just use the roll off all the low end. You can use more of them, which gives you a better natural stereo image of the kit, which I like.
Yeah,
you can just use the if you have like the snare mic and the kick mic, they're more like enhancement and boost. But your main sound is actually from the overheads.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when we did the tracking here, those years ago when you talked, we did track the drum same way. We had like I think 2 Black Pearl on overhead and then probably a 47 on kick because we were able to.
Yeah.
But still, like the overhead, well placed and in a good room, it's enough if they're good microphones. I mean,
and a good kit and a good kit, player.
Yeah, well tuned.
Drummer.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So. But yeah, definitely. We can hear. By the way, just I was about to play my vocals on that song.
Oh, sorry, yeah, forgot.
We can listen to that. So this is also flat. We swore to never let go, yet we drifted apart. Now we are two unknown echoes in the dark. Who am I to you? Who am I to you now?
It's really close because you can hear the air blowing.
So,
but it sounds like a record.
I mean, there isn't a problem with 220.
No.
You know, or there's not even need to boost. But then again, I don't know. It's, you know, with the mixing context, that's how it was sitting. But by itself, it has everything you want and everything you want to take it to. It's not thin, it's not dark, it's not, you know, it's healthy.
Again, that sounds, I mean, when you get that close, it almost sounds like a dynamic again, a little bit.
Yeah, it's true.
Way,
like the SM7 is one of my favorite mic, and it has that quality to it. Yeah, but you know, funny, like the Black Pearl, for example, I never really found it like to work perfectly for my vocals, for example. It's always been really great with Eva and really great with acoustic guitar and stuff. But with my vocal, I was missing that SM7 response. You know, that I don't know what it is, punch or whatever. So when we tracked the previous record, I think I did most of the vocals with the SM7. But with this mic, I was able to get that faster feedback, or like it was perfect for Eva, perfect for, you know, acoustic and all of that. But with my vocals, I was able to also get this nice, like, this is like, you know, singing live, or having this, like, it's present and it's taking the you know, the dynamics well and stuff. So
that's interesting, because I have absolutely no explanation for why that would be. Yeah.
And also I don't like. Of course, the Black Pearl sounds great on my vocals. I mean, I recorded with it, but the feeling singing into it has never been like. And I'm talking feeling, so it's probably, and it's not really. There's no explanation for that, but I used to pick the SM7 rather than the Black Pearl just because I felt better, like doing demo tracking and small ideas, and I could compress it, and I was like, that's great. Yeah.
But maybe it's the warmth. It is warmer in character, just overall.
Yeah, and it, I don't know, it has, it's also, it holds itself together a bit more. There's like, I don't know, when you can sing a bit louder and it's not picking up too much. I don't know. It's a feeling. You need to sing into it too.
Yeah. But that's an important like quality of a microphone. How it makes you feel. I mean, how it responds. I'm talking about this emotional feedback when you sing into it, and then it makes you feel a certain way, and then it makes you sing a certain way, and then, you know.
For me, it's the most important. I mean, especially if you're like writing and producing your own music, for example, like. There was this interview of James Blake. He was doing this live now, you know, at home on Instagram, and talking about his production stuff. And he says, I sing in this mic. It's the Manly reference, and I like it. That's it. And he's not changing right now, probably because the feeling he gets from it is great, you know. Yeah. But then if he tries something else, and he would get another. I mean, people who write and record themselves, they don't say like, this is like the flattest or the nicest or the most, like, you know, like, I mean, it's just it is about the feeling you get when you record. Do you feel satisfied? Do you like it? Do you feel, does it sound better? You know, stuff like that. Really important.
I heard somebody say about, you know, as a guitar player, you know, about buying guitars. I don't remember who it was. You know, it's like you buy a guitar to get a new song out of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know, like how it inspires you to. Oh yeah. Did your coffee get cold? Sorry.
No.
So the maybe the same, but that's the same thing. You need to get a response from the instrument, because it's. I consider the microphone an instrument in front of the vocalist, and with your instrument mic'd, it's an extension of the instrument.
Of course.
It does. You cannot separate it. It's not. It's part of the process, the creative process. So,
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I mean, you know, EQs, compressors, these are other instruments as well. I mean, it's people are like, oh, but you know, using EQ, like there's this, like, I mean, before being there to fix anything, it's also there first to shape. It's like no one would have ever heard the music we've been listening to for the past, you know, I don't know, 50 years without the use of EQ. It's just not possible.
It's part of the sound, absolutely.
Yeah. Of course, you can do so much with mic placement and isolation and stuff, but still, the music we listen to is so pleasant because we EQ it heavily, in many ways, you know. So being able to apply EQ is it's the number one rule. I think it's important. You can't be like no.
Yeah.
But yeah, the microphone. I agree. So I recorded the guitar solo with this mic also. Great sound.
So electric guitars. We talked about the vocals. We talked about both of your vocals. We talked about the piano. Different takes of different layers of pianos.
Yeah.
We talked about drums.
We didn't listen to drums. We could take a listen to the drums. The overhead. What's it like? Yeah, maybe this. Yeah, drums were recorded in a summer cottage.
Oh, it's not the same room?
No, the room is not big enough.
Not even.
So even worse room. I mean, it was a summer cottage, empty room, no acoustic treatment. Not so good sounding room, but good drums. So, but yeah, the drums.
Especially the kick drum was great, right?
Yeah. Oh, but wait, I don't.
It's all right. We can actually cut it into the discussion
I think
earlier.
Yeah.
We can.
Yeah, we can.
I
mean, I have it, but I have the with everything. It has the kick and the snare, and it's flutter because of the on purpose. There's a hi-hat going through like a. So there's a lot of like.
Yeah, okay.
Some people are like, oh, but why does it sound like this?
Because you want it to sound like that.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can put flanger on or phaser on hi-hat, you do it.
Yeah. But that's great. I mean, because that's kind of what I wanted to hear in a way. That you have a good. It's great, like it is raw, but it's also great for shaping.
Yeah.
So that's because that gives you the best of both worlds, and gives you most creative freedom with the minimum of equipment, with the minimum of a setup, minimum of a hassle.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think these. We talked about acoustic guitars, but these are the really nice.
what was it?
Volume automation.
Oh, okay, that's really.
I was pushing it, and
Yeah. I see.
But yeah, and there's a lot of there's some noise because I on purposely because the mic has a really high output, so I on purposely put a pad on the UAD just to get a bit more of that, from the preamp.
I was just gonna say that you that's a little bit noisy. We have.
Yeah, it is a bit noisy, but that song is so 70s.
Yeah, it's a nice feeling though.
And I wanted to have it because it comes out of nowhere, and so you can hear it comes like I ran out of good excuses, so my boots are torn for dragging my feet. I've been wondering if my heart is of any uses. So for me, it was like American barn and stuff. So
yeah, but that's a lovely guitar.
I'm like,
it's a lovely guitar sound. It is. Yeah. Really.
So it was pad -20. Plus it's fake noise anyway because I think it's UAD adding. I don't know. But
interesting. Yeah, and I do think actually that the kind of the production version of the mic might be slightly less noisy, in even the mic itself.
Oh yeah.
But it's in. I mean, that's another thing. I wouldn't. I wouldn't try to make the most.
But that's pure. That was pure preamp noise.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the mic because.
No.
I think it's in that UAD 1073. Once you go to 60 dB or whatever, it's just
But I would never try to push the lowest noise floor I can get. I mean, especially enough if I have to sacrifice something else. I said that I'm more interested in actually the spectrum of the noise,
right?
Because that makes you feel if you have like a in a mic, even if it's very low in level, I think it does something to you when you. Almost like on a subconscious level. This might be in my head, but so have a relaxed like
right
is better for the feeling. This is really far out to speak, but I think it's true.
Yeah,
and I think they discovered that then when they were looking into different types of dithering noise. Different shapes.
Right.
That it kind of make the track feel colder or warmer just because of the dithering noise in the bottom, and it's so low level. I mean, we're talking -90 plus, so that's unexplainable.
Yeah.
But there seemed to be a difference. So I think that the same thing about the microphone noise, but I would never, like I said, sacrifice something else for getting the lowest noise. I mean, it needs to be workable. If it works for quiet playing, then it's okay.
Yeah, and the guitar is loud, so you would never get that noise unless you on purposely added it.
Okay,
like because on the the pianos are about the same volume and they're like
I have to check on
the recording on the
it's still good. Yeah, I was going to say that we can cut in more music samples in between and pictures.
Sure.
You just cut. I think it's easier.
Yeah.
Because then we don't talk on top of the music. But that will be a little bit of a challenge to edit. Maybe when you talk and play, we'll see how.
You're right.
It doesn't. We
We
covered a lot of good stuff.
This is cool.
What is this? High string, like Nashville.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 of them. Or more?
There's a lot of guitars here, look.
It's like a Leslie guitar.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. And with the drums. Quite piercing still, but not aggressive.
Yeah, normally you don't do electric guitars with
with
the condensers.
Yeah,
no?
or maybe like in the
like
room, or like a bit further away. I don't know.
or a blend.
Yeah, but this was it was like in front of the speaker.
But you had a fairly nice little lamp, so it wasn't.
Yeah, actually on this it's for the solo it was it's like an Sock Monkeys. It's like an 18 watt Marshall type.
Yeah, I remember that
12.
from the gig. Yeah.
And so that was better. The bass man needed too much volume, and then I could have recorded it, but I couldn't play in the room. Just
yeah.
because I think I did like.
But that's nice, nasty attitude in the sound. Yeah, I like that. And the blend of that with the very lush other elements. The contrast again. It's I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it sounds like America.
Yeah, and it was I mean,
American playing, American sound.
It's so great, like that, all that, jam and really those instruments, and I wanted to feel like the band was playing together, looking at each other in the big room, and it's hard to get that when you're recording everything by yourself. But yeah, that's the dream.
Did you end up doing the bass guitars as well?
Yeah,
all of them.
Yeah,
whoa.
I think on this it's actually a Moog.
Yeah.
Actually, this is America.
Is that pedal or knob?
Pedal, like volume pedal. But same thing, amp. I mean, every mic on this is the NU, and the same one. Not like I had two prototypes, a gold and a white one.
Yeah.
The white one was only used for the second channel of the piano.
Yeah.
And the gold was the one that moved around.
Was it because of the color?
It
or
looked
something?
better. Yeah. The white one had a bit more scratches on it.
Yeah.
So I was like, if I take a picture and everything, I'm like, no.
Yeah, I know. I think I told you about that, and I told you why I did the white one, because our daughter Isabella told me to do a white one.
Oh yeah.
Because she wanted to decorate it, so I might need it back for that.
Mm-hmm.
So
definitely.
Well, I can do another one without the scratches because it got a little mishandled.
But yeah, so it actually, because there's a pair, so you could think like, okay, you use the same mic, but it's still two mics.
Yeah.
But no, it was two mics on the piano, but one mic for everything else. Worked really well. And bunch of like these are old vocals.
Yeah.
Is there?
A choir of Manus.
I hope.
I've been trying to contain my feelings,
both of you, yeah.
but you're always reminding me of what I'm doing wrong. Open wounds, nothing's gone.
So when they talk about like, the Manly is great for, not to point out anything, but like I've worked with a lot of people in the pop, and they're like, the Manly is the best mic for recording vocals over vocals over vocals.
Stacking, stacking. Yeah.
Like people do, because in pop music they can be 40, 50 tracks behind the lead. Because if the singer is not necessarily confident or whatever, just to give this massive support that you don't hear.
Yeah.
But this mic works as well. Sometimes we had like 15, 20 tracks of vocals, under. Yeah. So it's something that is nice, because for a lot of people would never do that with a U47. It would sound just like you would get that's presence like way over the top.
Yeah. When you do that like a big cluster like that, did you use different types of equalization? For each or section or whatever? Yeah.
There is. I also ran the vocals through a different like bus as well, so that they get.
So they get grouped.
They get grouped.
Okay.
There's always one lead of each, so that's two vocal. Then there's always a stereo for each. So now we're at 6 vocal track. and then now there's like a extra 3 vocals of me, 3 more of Eva, and then some harmonies.
Yeah.
And all the extra except the lead go into a into a vocal group that is, oh well, look at that, 300 hertz cut. Nothing under 80 hertz.
Yeah.
And sometime a little air, actually, a little boost still, you know, at above 10K.
Yeah, I heard that on Eva's vocal.
Yeah.
Clearly. Good.
And then if I wanted to get even more space, just running through, you know, this dimension, D stuff, but yeah, quite, and sometimes quite heavy EQing. Like, I think Eva Stereo, if you listen to it, you can hear it. It's really thin.
Yeah, that's almost 300-400 hertz almost.
Yeah. So, and yeah, and with my stereo, it's like.
But you're always reminding me of what
But mostly cutting a lot so that it's, you know, it only does the support and it doesn't add to the tone. It's more like it's a nice way also to not necessarily, because we can sing more, so it's fine. It's a nice way to add also top end.
Yeah.
I feel track more vocals and have them more like high registered and place them quieter.
And all of this, I mean, all of these things you're doing and heavy processing, and what really makes me happy is to hear, I mean, lots of creative work and shaping, and then, but still it sounds pleasant. It sounds delicious. It doesn't get nasty, unless you want it to, you know. But it doesn't.
But it's all very subtle. It all like some of the tracks are like barely hearable. I mean, but it's like the dithering thing you just said.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, a little bit can be can do actually very, very much.
But that, I mean, to me, the things that you barely hear, that's what gives a record a depth and makes it interesting, because you can listen to it the third time and fourth time, and then like you're discovering new stuff. And like I said, if it feeds your brain, it makes it exciting again, or, you know, makes it feel alive. It's not sterile, and it's not Lego blocks, square blocks. It's like what I mean, my inspiration is many times nature. And look at take a branch of a tree, and take a leaf of it, and at first it looks symmetrical, you know, perfect. But then when you start looking at it, it's like it's got all kinds of small variations and stuff, and that's what makes it look real. And I think it's sometimes it's the same with music. You have enough detail and a little bit of, like you talked about the noises in the beginning, the piano noises, enough of little noises to keep it interesting. So it doesn't feel sterile or kind of cut from straight blocks or whatever. So yeah.
And ambience, you know, we talked about this, like, but having like hearing the room, you know, it's kind of important. And first I had this idea. I told Eva, like, we should record the room and have it on the back, because I thought we were gonna maybe record in a very quiet environment. But then it turned out that there were cars passing by and so on, so it was enough to have all of that, you know, in separate takes and then have an extra take. But it does bring something.
And the car is not the right feeling for most songs, I guess.
But you hear it sometimes. But it's fine. Nobody can. But another example is, you know, I sometimes ran the vocals through like this.
Awake or asleep. Yeah, you've been haunting me. Bought me for
But it's really quiet with the verse.
If I knew what was coming, what if I was
remove it?
really over you?
If I place it.
What if leaving's all I have?
Is that a guitar distortion?
Yeah, it's a rat.
That's the rat.
Yes. So because it has the tone is like works like a filter.
Yeah.
So you can
shape it.
Yeah. So
nicely.
it's not necessarily doing a lot in the top end, but it brings that the harmonics of the mid range about, I don't know, but it just works. It's
and parallel processing, so
yeah,
you're not messing with the actual sound. You're just bringing something.
And it's something a lot of people do, of course. But it's instead of EQing, you know, or like sometimes this came, for example, on the second verse, just to make the second verse a little bit more, something a little bit extra than the first verse. Yeah. And one philosophy we have, or that I have with the production, is to always try to have every part slightly different. So the first verse might be, let's say it's guitar and me singing. The second verse might be guitar and me singing, but then maybe a tiny extra guitar somewhere. Yeah. And then the first chorus will be different from the second chorus, and every verse and every chorus is different. It helps to just keep it a bit fresh, but it can be very subtle, very subtle.
That's possibly one of the key factors which makes this a great record for me. And I'm not just saying this to be polite, but I think I told you this is the kind of stuff I really love listening to. You know, if I have because it's interesting. It's not boring. It's not predictable. I mean, of course, you have a clear vision, but it doesn't, you know, repeat itself. And, you know, so that worked. What you just did.
No, and I mostly had so much fun doing it. You know, it's nice, like, you know.
And that's important to hear as well.
Recording it and mixing it, it was a new thing to you know, to be able to do everything. Mixing and stuff was.
It is delicious, in that's the best word I can find for it. So I can't wait for people to hear it.
Yeah. Same.
The whole package.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. I think. I'm also it's gonna be good.
I think we're out of hard disk drive on the getting there. Side stick.
Just without the reverb.
808 kick type.
Yeah, I guess. So it really makes it like. Oh, there is shaker. Great. And delay, the memory man. You know, we talked about the memory boy.
Yeah.
I played it like.
Oh, you played the hardware, yeah.
So then you get this. With the rat.
Wow. You could do a remix of this album, you know, without actually adding anything. Just pick up the elements.
Wow. But doing this was like, I don't even think about it. I'm like, you know, it's fun.
Yeah.
Having things in your hands is much nicer anyway than writing. I'm not a computer. Like I just like to touch things. It's nice.
Yeah, but thank you so much. I think that's a lot of stuff. A lot of good stuff. Much more than not much more than needed, but plenty to do.
Yeah, it's
pretty easy to edit, I think.
Yeah, good.